Hi, I'm Kristen Amdahl. This is part 5 of my video series on how to knit motifs into ornaments. I'm using the reference section from my book, Knitting Outside the Swatch, and in this video we're going to take the mini medallions and create ornaments, and then at the end of the video I'm even going to show you how to create garland by knitting the medallions together and joining them as you go without having to sew. So let's get started. Today I'm using a size 8 or 5 millimeter set of knitting needles, and I'm using worsted weight yarn. You can use any yarn and any needles you like. I would just suggest that you use the suggested size for the type of yarn that you're using. We're not doing anything like lace, blocked lace where we need to do something with a larger needle than the yarn. Just use the appropriate size. So we're going to start by casting on 3 stitches. So the first is our slip knot. You're going to wrap the yarn around your fingers, creating a loop, and then pull the tail yarn through the loop and slide to close and place it on our knitting needle. For our second stitch, we're going to hold our tail in our thumb and our working yarn in our fingers, and wrapping the yarn around your thumb, pull the loop of the working yarn through the loop of the tail yarn and slide that onto your needle. There's your second stitch. We'll do that a third time, or do that a second time and create our third stitch. So now we have 3 stitches on our needle. I'm going to turn. The first row says we're going to knit into the front and back of the first stitch. What that means is insert your needle into the front and wrap the yarn around your right hand needle, pull a loop through, but instead of sliding that stitch off the left hand needle right away, we're going to go into the back of the same stitch and pull another loop through. So now we have 2 stitches where we had 1, and now slide the stitch off of your left hand needle. So that was knitting into the front and back of 1 stitch. Rest of the row says to yarn over. So you're going to pull the yarn to the front of your work, and from there knit the next 2 stitches. And see what that does? That creates a yarn over in your work. So now we have created another stitch. So we started with 3 stitches. We did 2 increases in this row. Knit front and back of the first stitch is a 1 increase. The yarn over is a 2nd increase. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to turn our work, and all even number rows are to knit across. So row 2 is to just knit all of the stitches across that row. Okay, next row is to knit 2, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 2. So now we have 7 stitches on our needle. I'm going to turn our work and knit all 7. Next row is to knit 2, yarn over, knit 3, yarn over, knit 2. We now have 9 stitches on our needles. Turn our work, and we're going to knit across. Okay, our increasing rows are done. Now that we've increased out, we're going to now decrease back down to create our medallion shape. So the first decrease row is to knit 1, slip, slip, knit, or abbreviated SSK, which means you slip 1 stitch, slip 2 stitches, then with your left hand needle, insert it into the front of both of those stitches and knit them together. Okay, yarn over. S2KP is slip 2, knit 1, pass the 2 slip stitches over, S2KP. And what that means is we're going to slip 2 stitches at the same time, knit 1, then pass those 2 slip stitches up and over the 3rd stitch, like that. And then yarn over, knit 2 together, and knit 1. So now we have 7 stitches. We're going to turn our work. Okay, so the next row is to knit 1, SSK, slip 1, slip 2, and then knit them together. And yarn over, knit 3 together, which means, and when you have a hard time grabbing stitches together, I like to grab with my thumb and first finger on my left hand and pull the body of work down a little bit, and as you pull on it, you can elongate those stitches a little bit just to get your needle in there. So we're going to go from the front, knit all 3 of them together, and knit 1. So now we have 5 stitches on our needles. Turn our work, and we'll do our even numbered row. Whoops, oh, isn't it awful? Here, this is what we do though. If your needle comes out, chances are you can grab everything. We have our knit stitch over our yarn over. That one's going to be the tricky one. So we'll grab one of it and turn the work back around. So now we want to get over to where we have the mistake and re-knit that stitch. So I'm going to pull it around like that and then slide our stitches back over. Wow, that was actually a rather easy fix. Sometimes they're not that easy to fix, but that one was a really good one. Okay, so now we have 5 stitches. So the next row is SSK, slip 1, slip 2, and then from the front knit them together. Then we're going to knit 1 and knit 2 together. Now we're down to 3 stitches. And for our final row, we're going to knit these 3 together with a S2KP. So we're going to do that one again. We're going to slip 2 stitches together from the front, knit the 3rd stitch, then pass the 2 slip stitches up and over the 3rd stitch. And there you have it. There's our medallion complete. All you're going to do is fasten this off, create a tail or create a loop with your tail, and it's ready to hang on the tree. Isn't that an adorable little ornament? Now what I want to show you is how we take this and create garland or any type of a strip of joining these as you go without having to sew. And it's really, really simple. All you're going to do is not fasten off right now, because what we're going to do is just start over and create our next one. So now that we're down to 1 stitch, remember how we started with a cast on of 3 stitches? Well, to replicate that, we're now going to knit into the front, back, and front of this stitch. So we're going to, this would be row 13 if you're continuing on to make a strip or garland of these. We're going to knit into the front, back, and front again of that stitch. So we now have 3 stitches on our needle. So row 14, which is another even numbered row, which is going to be all knit, and that's just throughout the entire project. This even numbered row will always just be plain knitting. So now we're set up to repeat rows 1 through 14. We're going to knit into the front and back of the 1st stitch, yarn over, and knit 2. Which is exactly how we started this one. So you'll just make these increase out, decrease in, increase out, decrease in for the entire length of your strip of motifs.